This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
It's 5 o'clock here on your Monday. Good morning to you. I'm Lauren Casey. Here's what's making headlines on this April 13th. Pedestrian hit and killed by a Metro police officer on the southwest side of Indianapolis overnight. We'll have the latest on that investigation. COVID-19 continues to claim lives here in Indiana. How North Central High School is remembering their beloved athletic director who died this weekend because of the virus. And the coronavirus crisis is also having an impact on animals up for adoption. What a local shelter is doing to keep their doors open so that dogs and cats can still have a chance at a new home. But before we get to our top stories here on this Monday, we got to get a check of our forecast with Storm Team 6 meteorologist Todd Clausen reporting remotely from his basement. And Todd, I can see the video behind you. It's going to be windy today.
Yeah, I took this a few years ago at IMS, but I love it because it shows how the flags are extended, and that's exactly what's going to be happening throughout the day today as we really start to get into some windy conditions, especially this morning. And then once we get into the afternoon hours, they should start to die down just a little bit. So your wind gusts are starting to pick up in western portions of the state. 29 miles per hour now in Lafayette, 44 in Terre Haute. I mentioned the last half hour. We'll track these color contours from west to east all the way across the state this morning. So while Indianapolis and points to the east, not all that windy right now, you're going to start to get a big gust of wind. Now, thankfully, this front's coming in fairly dry. Storm Team 6 radar has really quieted down throughout the morning hours. All the real strong to severe storms stayed to our south. That's good for us, but unfortunately, they have a tornado outbreak going on down in Georgia and parts of the Carolinas this morning. So this front comes through. It remains very windy throughout the morning hours. Once we get into the afternoon hours, the winds will start to calm down. We'll get a little bit of sunshine in here, but boy, Lauren, it is chilly throughout the entire day today, as we'll see high temperatures only stay in the mid-40s. We've already actually hit our high for the day today, so make sure if you are going to be bundled up this afternoon, if you head out and about, or you should bundle up if you're going to be out and about here throughout the afternoon hours.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Here at 5:03 with stay-at-home orders in place, there's far less traffic on the roads right now. That's why the state has moved up a massive construction project on I-70 starting today. Those eastbound lanes between downtown at the North Split and 465 on the east side, that will be closed for 30 days. The second phase is going to start April 23rd. That'll impact westbound traffic heading into the city. Detours will run through the city and around 465 to the south. We have all of that information for you on our website, theindychannel.com. Don't forget that as you're heading out today. New from overnight, a pedestrian hit and killed by an IMPD officer on Indy's southwest side. It happened around 11 o'clock last night on Kentucky Avenue near Lyndhurst Drive. Metro police say the officer was patrolling when he hit a man walking along the road. The officer tried to give first aid to the victim, but the victim was pronounced dead at the scene. As protocol, the officer was taken to get a blood test. Police are still waiting to learn more about what happened here. Over the weekend, the number of COVID-19 cases in Indiana has risen to nearly 8,000. The Indiana State Department of Health confirmed 500 more cases and 13 deaths on Sunday. The total number of 343 Hoosiers have died from the virus. Marion County has more than 2,800 cases. Hamilton County has reached more than 400. The State Department of Health has also started issuing reports on available medical resources. They say out of the 2,800 ventilators, 73% are available for use. 16% are currently being used by COVID-19 patients. The state also says 44% of its ICU beds are open. Students at one local high school are mourning the loss of their athletic director who lost his battle with COVID-19 over the weekend. Our Alyssa Donovan is joining us live this morning from North Central High School. Alyssa, we have our thoughts going out to his family and that school community there this morning.
Yes, we do, Lauren. And you know what? This is a tremendous loss for students and staff here at North Central High School. He worked here for a very long time and made a huge impact. And you can see behind me that the stadium lights are lit. They lit those last night as a tribute to athletic director Paul Logan. Logan lost his battle with COVID-19 Sunday afternoon. He just turned 57 years old. The athletic director had been on a ventilator in the hospital for several days. Logan had been part of the Washington Township family since 1988 and became athletic director at North Central in 2014. A memorial was set up outside of the high school and signs that read Paul Strong. In his 31 years at the school, Logan both taught and coached. Students say he made an impact on the community and their lives.
He was a really happy, really funny guy, and he made sure he signed every athlete individually when they went off to college. If you didn't go to college, he still encouraged you for your sports career. He was just a really great guy.
He had a huge impact on the school, but he was so nice, and he loved the students here so much. They were his family.
And several students posted on social media yesterday about the impact Logan had on their lives as well and how he will be so missed. And North Central does want parents to know that if their students are having trouble with this, they are able to reach out to their counselors via email for support. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. A veteran firefighter in Terre Haute has also lost his battle with COVID-19. John Schaffstall was 41 years old and has been at the Terre Haute Fire Department for nearly 12 years. The fire chief tells RTV6 that John was respected by his fellow firefighters as well as that community. He was a friend, and his absence will truly be felt by all. Schaffstall is survived by his wife and 2 children. Well, many of us are safe at home right now. If you're in the market for a new pet, officials say now is actually a good time. Our Kelsey Anderson is joining us with what one local shelter is doing to rehome animals.
Well, I know from experience that training a new pet is no easy feat. And with all of us being home all day long, this gives new pet owners a chance to really hone in on that training. Due to COVID-19, a lot of shelters are closed to the public, but animal welfare is still the top of mind. So in accordance with the CDC guidelines, Indy Humane is doing one-on-one adoptions by appointment. Indy Humane CEO David Horth wants people to know they can adopt, not shop, because Indy Humane is open for business.
Just in a different way. We're still intaking animals, we're still adopting animals, we're fostering animals. We are considered an essential business at this time, and we're doing everything that we can possibly do to serve the cause of animal welfare.
In a normal 2-week period, Indy Humane adopts out nearly 150 animals. And right now, Horst says they're averaging about half that. Horst says if you aren't able to adopt right now, you can consider fostering or making a monetary donation. If you are interested in adopting a new 4-legged family member, contact your local animal shelter or visit indyhumane.org. Working for you, Kelsey Anderson, RTV6.
All right, Kelsey, thank you so much. Well, RTV6's Hiring Hoosiers initiative is committed to connecting you to job opportunities as the pandemic puts millions of people out of work. But the outbreak is creating some new jobs for companies like Domino's. With normal restaurant operations closed under the stay-at-home order, demand is growing for carry-out and delivery services. Rogers Galloway started at Domino's as a delivery driver when he was just a teenager. Now he is the head of training for franchises right here in Indianapolis. He says the new jobs are not just about the company, they're about the community.
There's people out there that are fully trained to run full restaurants that don't have work right now. There's fathers and mothers of a number of children at home. They need income, and we want to try to provide those as much as we can.
Domino's needs to fill about 350 positions all around the Indianapolis area. Those in Perry Township took time to remember IMPD officer Brianne Leith this weekend. She was killed in the line of duty while responding to a domestic incident last week. Leith graduated from Southport High School, and now a large rock outside of the building has been decorated with her name. It reads RIP Officer Brianne Leith, Fly High, and it has a blue line painted in the middle. After her death, Perry Township Schools posted that the community is heartbroken to learn that she lost her life, and their thoughts and prayers are with her family, many of whom have bravely served the Southside community for years. Right now, we want to take a turn to our forecast and check in with Todd Clausen. Hey, Todd.
Yeah, Lauren, it's all about the wind here this morning. And then I think once we get to the afternoon hours, our attention kind of turns more from the wind to the very chilly air that's going to be working its way into the forecast. Outside right now, we are dealing with the wind gusts starting to pick up across the area. You notice the wind gusts as you work your way to the western side of the state starting to get in that 40-mile-per-hour range. And that'll become pretty widespread as we work our way throughout the remainder of the morning hours. Temperatures, the warmest they'll be all day right now. that will fall from the 50s into the 40s as we progress throughout the morning hours. And then eventually high temperatures today get back to only the mid 40s to right around 50 degrees. So today's highs have already occurred. What you're seeing here are more afternoon highs. But of course, we'll track this wind advisory that's in effect for the entire area and these gusts as they start to pick up as the morning progresses. The time now, that's 5:10. You're watching Good Morning Indiana right on here on RTV6. Stay with us. We're back in just a couple minutes.
To Your Heart premieres tonight on ABC.
Around the world, the coronavirus is forcing millions of people to change the way they worshiped this Easter. Back here at home, some churches still holding services against the wishes of local authorities, while other churches got creative. Overseas, Pope Francis addressing a nearly empty St. Peter's Basilica, while across Italy, priests taking to rooftops with parishioners listening from a safe distance away. ABC's Andrea Fujii takes a look.
Social distancing forcing millions of people to change the way they worshiped this Easter.
Welcome to church this morning on Easter Sunday.
But some churches still open their doors regardless of restrictions.
The intent from the beginning was for those who didn't feel comfortable to stay home, and then for those who did feel comfortable, the doors would be open.
This Kansas pastor preaching in person, despite the state Supreme Court upholding the governor's order limiting religious gatherings to 10 people. In Kentucky, police taking down license plates, warning them to quarantine for 2 weeks. In Mississippi, a Jackson City councilman handing out masks to people headed into worship.
Amen. Amen.
But a unique approach for many other churches, drive-in services. Drivers honking in praise in Bedford Hills, New York.
I like that.
Sitting safely inside their cars, listening to a sermon. And surreal scenes across the globe.
Bye.
Pope Francis addressing a nearly empty St. Peter's Basilica. In Spain, Bolivia, Australia, striking images of empty pews. Parishioners watching live streams from the safety of their homes.
Amazing grace.
And opera singer Andrea Bocelli holding a concert from an empty Duomo in Milan.
Back here at home, it is 5:16, and the Pentagon says it is working to produce 39 million N95 masks. It's the first project addressing the coronavirus pandemic under the Defense Production Act. The White House formally approved this plan, costing $133 million. The Pentagon has not named the companies involved yet. The N95 masks are in short supply nationwide, and health experts say they are critical for keeping medical personnel safe. Delta Airlines is changing how passengers board its planes during this pandemic. Passengers will now board planes from the back to the front. Flyers will have to wait until their row is called to get on the plane. The idea is to have people interact less while getting into their seats. Delta says the change will stay in place through at least May 31st. First class passengers and the Diamond Medallion members will be able to board as usual. The coronavirus pandemic is not the only disaster disrupting lives in the United States this week. Parts of the South are in shambles this morning after deadly tornadoes and severe storms. Areas in Mississippi and Louisiana were hit on Easter Sunday morning, overturning vehicles and damaging hundreds of structures. At least 7 people in Mississippi died in the storms, and the state has declared a state of emergency. Governors in Louisiana and Alabama have also issued emergency declarations. Back here at home, it is a Storm Team 6 alert day for the wind. Todd.
Yeah, you know, Lauren, this tornado warning still ongoing in parts of the southeast. So bad morning for them this morning here in central Indiana. We have thankfully avoided that aspect of the wind, but we are still going to have gusty conditions due to the fact that this cold front is going to be coming through. And that's why it's a Storm Team 6 alert day for you. Now, the first half of the day is going to be the windiest part of the day. And then as we go into the afternoon hours, the winds will slowly start to calm down. Then this evening, they really really do start to subside. So here are your wind speeds right now. And you notice it's still only 10 miles per hour in Indy, 9 in Bloomington, Terre Haute, 20 miles per hour, 31 in Champaign, Illinois. These are sustained winds. The gusts are actually a little bit higher. And you also notice those arrows are going to be switching from the southwest to the west here in Indy and the northwesterly already in Lafayette. And that is going to drive in much colder air as we work our way into the afternoon hours. We've already hit our high temperatures for the day today. So these wind gusts will get up into the 30 to 40 mile per hour range by mid-morning. They kind of stay there throughout the early afternoon hours. And then by 5 p.m., we are seeing the temperatures, or the wind speeds rather, start to die down already. And then by this evening, late into the overnight hours, really not too much of an issue. So what are the impacts from these winds? Well, on our scale from 1 to 5, with 5 being high, loose objects, garbage cans, a patio furniture, if you have that out, that will easily be blown around by some of these winds. As far as power outages, there could be some, and there could be some falling branches as well. So just be aware of that if you're going to be out and about, maybe for a walk through your neighborhood. Temperatures already starting to fall into the 40s there off to the west, and radar is pretty quiet. There was the chance of some strong to severe storms as we worked our way through the forecast yesterday, but they all stayed down to our south. So that was good news for us, and the showers continue just to really kind of flare out and dissipate here this morning. So throughout the day today, it's mainly a dry day. A few sprinkles possible as this front comes through. Otherwise, temperatures only get back up into the 40s later on this afternoon. And then we stay in the 40s all week long for high temperatures. It's not until Saturday we get back up into the mid-50s, and it's not until Sunday that we get the temperatures back up into the 60s across the area. Those overnight lows as well, some of which will be at or below freezing. So if you do have those sensitive plants outside already, you're going to want to take those in, or at least cover them up the next few mornings. Lauren.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. We want to get a look at traffic this morning as you're heading out the door on this Monday. Here's a look in the downtown area at the North Split. Now, traffic is very light, obviously, as many people are staying home, and that's why NDOT is moving up construction on I-70 on the east side between the North Split over to I-465. The eastbound lanes are closing today for 30 days. Some possible detours would be to head through the north and south splits and get on I-65 southbound, and then get on 465, take that over to the east side, and there you can reconnect with I-70. You can also take local streets like Washington Street from the downtown area over to the east side to reroute throughout this project. Of course, we'll keep you updated, but this again going into effect today, so keep that in mind. Smartphone users won't have to use new emojis they won't have new emojis to choose from rather in 2021. The process is another one that's being put on hold due to the coronavirus outbreak. A nonprofit group called the Unicode Consortium oversees the creation of emojis. They usually approve the new images in January and they release them in September, but the group relies on volunteers to get this all done. So the group says there is too much for people to deal with right now, so it's pushing back the release date. Emojis from last January's batch are still scheduled to come out later this year. In outer space, the Hubble telescope is marking 30 years in orbit, and you can join the celebration. NASA is letting you check out the Hubble images taken on your birthday. Just go online and select the date and time, and it will pull the images the telescope captured then. If you're young enough, you can even see some of the images from the moment that you were born. Pretty cool. Hubble was the first major telescope to go into space, and it's being taken pictures since April of 1990. Social distancing restrictions may have prevented some Easter services, but one Johnson County man found a new way to continue his tradition. After the break, what he did to share his talents and help others to celebrate. We'll be right back.
TV.com.
Welcome back. Without in-person church services this Easter, many had to find different ways to celebrate. Working together, our Rafael Sanchez shows us how one Johnson County man took his tradition on the road.
The traveling trumpet player, unable to perform at his Easter Sunday worship, took his tradition to parking lots.
Happy Easter, everybody!
Bringing church, its message, and its music to Otterbein residents in Franklin, who watched from their windows as he played.
So we went around every side of the building and brought Easter to them because trumpet and Easter just seems hand in hand, you know, it just seems natural. And it's nice to do something.
Steve Brown is the bugler for the Honor Guard at American Legion Post 205. And back in the day, he was in the IU Pep Band from 1983 through 1987.
Oh, the smiles of the residents, that I'll keep forever. Just like that day in '87 when Keith Smart's final shot. That it ranks up there. It does. It really does.
This Easter is unlike any in decades. And for some, they were serenaded with hymns of hope by the man traveling with his trumpet around town.
Happy Easter.
Love that story, Raphael. Thank you so much. Hopefully you had a wonderful Easter, even though we had to stay at home. Todd, the weather was not the best on Easter, but you're saying that it's actually better than what we're going to see throughout this week.
Yeah, you know, yesterday we got up to 60 degrees. I know we didn't have a ton of sunshine, but today we're talking about temperatures only in the 40s. Our immediate concern, though, are the gusty winds that are now starting to work their way into the area. You can see the 29-mile-per-hour wind gust at Lafayette, 44 in Lafayette, those contours extending further to the east. So Indianapolis, within the next 30 minutes or so, are probably going to start to get those gusty winds working. Once they do arrive, they're with us throughout much of the morning. We'll talk about the wind and also look ahead to the rest of your 7-day planning forecast coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues right here on RTV6.
Show today at 10 on RTV6. This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
It was so nice, and he loved the students here so much. They were his family.
Now at 5:30 here on Good Morning Indiana, the coronavirus pandemic hitting one central Indiana school hard after the loss of their beloved athletic director. How his students and the community are honoring him this morning. Plus, animal shelters are still open and say there's a great need to find home for pets. This morning, we're talking to one shelter that's changed their operations in hopes of connecting these pets to their forever families. But first, here at 5:31, we do want to welcome you into Good Morning Indiana. I'm Lauren Casey. It is a Storm Team 6 alert day, and Todd Glosson is breaking down what we can expect in our forecast today. Todd, good morning.
And Lauren, good morning to you. Good morning, everybody. It's all about the wind here this morning. And then this afternoon, it's kind of more about the cold temperatures that will be in place, more so than the wind. So these winds are just now starting to ramp up across the area, across the western portion of the state. Wind gusts anywhere from 29 to 44 miles per hour as you work your way from Lafayette to Terre Haute. But notice those contours of yellow and red and purple. They're extending further and further towards the east. And we'll be able to track the progress of these winds picking up from west to east across the state. Now, the winds probably peak from about 9 a.m. through 1 or 2 o'clock, and then they'll start to subside throughout the course of the afternoon hours. The front may have a few spotty showers with it as it comes through, but for the most part, this front goes through dry. It's just a hit or miss shower, so I wouldn't really be too concerned about the rainfall in the forecast for the day today. We'll have quite a bit of cloud cover this morning, maybe a little bit of sunshine this afternoon, but even if we do get into sunshine, Lauren, it is going to be very, very chilly as temperatures will only be in the low to mid 40s.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. We do have a traffic alert for drivers who are heading out the door today and the next 30 days. This is a traffic alert for drivers on the east side and in downtown. This is a look right now at the North Split. A heads up, NDOT is moving up construction on eastbound I-70 between right here, the North Split in downtown, all the way over to I-465 on the east side, the eastbound direction again. That's going to be closed starting today for 30 days as they do their work with people staying at home under those orders due to COVID-19. If you do normally take the east side interstate, you can head on I-65 south from downtown to 465 on the south side. Take that around to the east side and reconnect with I-70 at the 465 interchange. You can also take streets like Washington Street from downtown over to the east side. Give yourself a few extra minutes and hopefully a lot of this work will be done before we get heavier traffic back back out on our interstates. New from overnight, a man is dead after being hit by an IMPD patrol car. It happened around 11 o'clock last night on the southwest side of town near South Lyndhurst Drive and Kentucky Avenue. We're told the officer was on his patrol beat driving north when he hit a male victim. The officer tried to give first aid to the victim, but the victim was pronounced dead at the scene. Investigators say poor lighting and the weather may have played a role in that crash.
It's a very dark area, and of course, with storms and cloud cover makes it the natural light none.
As protocol, the officer was taken to get a blood test. Police are still working to learn more about what happened. Now to the very latest numbers from the state health department. On Sunday, we learned 13 more deaths were confirmed in the Hoosier state, and more than 7,900 people have tested positive for COVID-19. Altogether, a total of 343 people have died from the coronavirus. More than 42,000 people have been tested in the state of Indiana. One of those tragic deaths is an athletic director at a Central Indiana high school. Today, students and staff are mourning the loss of Paul Logan. Our Alyssa Donovan is joining us live this morning from North Central High School. Alyssa, we know Logan made a huge impact on that community.
He really did, Lauren. He was part of the Washington Township family for just over 3 decades, so that's a lot of time to be spending with students and staff members, colleagues. They all knew him very well, and they say he had a huge impact on this community. And you can see behind me that the lights of the stadium are all lit up this morning. They've been lit up since last night. Those were lit up as a tribute to athletic director Paul Logan. Logan lost his battle with COVID-19 early Sunday afternoon after being hospitalized for several days. The 57-year-old worked in some capacity for Washington Township since 1988. He taught and coached students. Logan was the athletic director for the last 6 years. Students and staff set up a memorial outside of the school yesterday. Flowers and signs that read Paul Strong. Students say Logan was more than just a coach. He was a mentor who truly cared.
He was a really happy, really funny guy, and he made sure he signed every athlete individually when they went off to college. If you didn't go to college, he still encouraged you for your sports career. He was just a really great guy.
He had a huge impact on the school, but he was so nice, and he loved the students here so much. They were his family.
Our dear friend, mentor, and coach, Paul Logan.
The North Central High School Wind Ensemble gathered via Zoom over the weekend to play the school's fight song. They dedicated it to Logan and his fight against COVID-19 the day before he died. Logan leaves behind a wife and 3 children, and of course the thousands of students whose lives he's touched over the years. North Central High School says that they are going to have their counselors available to any students that need them via email. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. As the country battles COVID-19, New York may be seeing its death curve flattening. Though those numbers are still staggering, new hotspots are popping up in other states. This is another fight about the Trump administration's preparedness is unfolding in the nation's capital. ABC's Alex Perche has more right now from Washington.
This morning on the front lines, the newest crop of medical workers are ready for battle.
It wasn't an easy decision for everybody, but for me, it was the right thing to do. So
Rebecca Noonan, now a doctor, chose to graduate from medical school 1 month early. She will join the fight in New York City, where the hospitalization rate is dropping, but the crisis is far from over. New York State's coronavirus death rate has been in the high 700s for the last several days.
That's the so-called flattening of the curve. It has been flattening, but flattening at a terribly high level.
Across the country, other hot zones are emerging. In Pennsylvania, the governor now predicting a surge in cases this week. Cases in Texas already surging. The governor there considering opening some businesses next week despite caution from public health officials. Several governors have been critical of the federal response, and a coronavirus task force health expert admits government inaction may have cost American lives.
That if you had a process that was ongoing and you started mitigation earlier, you could have saved lives. Obviously, no one is going to deny that. But what goes into those kinds of decisions is complicated.
The New York Times reports in a February 21st coronavirus task force meeting attended by Fauci and Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar, it was decided they would soon need to move towards aggressive social distancing. By this point, China had at least 75,000 cases and northern Italy was closing public spaces. But the president did not announce those measures until more than 3 weeks later. During that time, the number of known U.S. coronavirus cases surging from 15 to over 4,000. The White House responding, saying President Trump took bold action to protect Americans and unleash the full power of the federal government to curb the spread of the virus. And overnight, the president continuing to defend his response, calling that New York Times report fake news. He also retweeted a message critical of Dr. Fauci that ended with the words, "Time to #fire Fauci." Alex Perche, ABC News, Washington.
At 5:38, you might want to check your bank account. The IRS says it made the initial wave of stimulus payments, and direct deposits will continue over the next several days. Now, the agency is starting with the people who've provided banking information while filing their taxes the past few years. People who have not used direct deposits will get checks by mail. That could take weeks, even months. A reminder, only people under the income limit are eligible for single filers. That's about $75,000 per year. They get a $1,200 check. Joint filers who made less than a combined $150,000 last year will get $2,400. While many of us are safe at home right now, if you're in the market for a new pet, officials say now is a good time. Our Kelsey Anderson is joining us this morning with what one local shelter is doing to find those animals their forever homes.
While we're all at home right now, the fear of the unknown can sometimes be sad or even scary. But I know for me personally, a snuggle with this girl can make a lot of situations a lot better. Due to COVID-19, a lot of shelters are closed to the public, but animal welfare is still the top of mind. So in accordance with the CDC guidelines, Indy Humane is doing one-on-one adoptions by appointment.
Adopting a dog as a permanent member of your family, it's a wonderful time to do that, especially if it's a younger dog and needs house training and things like that.
In a normal 2-week period, Indy Humane adopts out nearly 150 animals. Right now, Horst says they're at about half of that. If you are interested in getting a new 4-legged family member, you can call your local shelter or visit indyhumane.org. Working for you, Kelsey Anderson, RTV6.
All right, Kelsey, a cute helper you have there with you. It is 5:40. Indiana's plan to feed hungry truckers is already proving to be a big hit. Last week, the state announced it would allow food trucks to operate at truck stops, giving truck drivers a lot more options as they eat and transport those essential items. With permission from the Federal Highway Administration, INDOT is allowing 2 food trucks to operate at any of the 28 rest stops in the state. They can be open from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. And the move is not just benefiting the truck drivers. Co-owner of Guac Box, Matt Bestich, says that this benefits food truck owners as well who are having a difficult time. Our time right now is 5:41. Let's toss things over to Todd for a look at our Storm Team 6 forecast.
Yeah, the wind's starting to pick up, Lauren. I'll show you this graphic behind me here. And this is the wind speed that you see here. It's out of the west at 10 miles per hour. This is for Indianapolis. Now, as I advance, you'll notice we are going to see our wind speeds really start to pick up. Already 43 miles per hour in Terre Haute, 29 in Indianapolis. So if you live in Peru, Indianapolis, Bloomington, you're on the line for the storms, or the wind rather. There's no storms out there. The wind to really pick up as we progress throughout the course of the morning hours, and then eventually Muncie and points to the east, you'll get into the gusty winds. They don't stick around very long, though. That's the good news. We deal with them through about the middle half of the afternoon. Then they'll start to calm. We'll talk more about the wind and also the rest of the week ahead's weather coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues. The time now is 5:41.
Clarity and live Claritin Clear.
This morning, the city of Indianapolis continues to mourn the loss of IMPD officer Brianne Leith. The 24-year-old was shot and killed in the line of duty Thursday while responding to a domestic violence call. That night, the city was lit up in blue to honor healthcare workers and first responders on the front lines of the COVID-19 pandemic. This display also took on a new meaning following the loss of Officer Leith. IMPD officer Ron Shelnut produced this powerful video with footage captured that night on Monument Circle. Mayor Hogg said also giving a tribute to Officer Leith.
Light a candle, say a prayer, hug your family, and in that moment, remember how lucky we are to have brave men and brave women like Officer Leith in our city tonight and every night.
Officer Leith is remembered as a true public servant, described by fellow officers as dedicated and compassionate. A hero who was an example of what an IMPD officer should be. Community members wishing to donate in her honor can contribute to the Brianne Leith Memorial Fund by the Central Indiana Police Foundation. Light It Blue on Monument Circle will continue each night until Officer Leith is laid to rest. A virtual service for Officer Leith will be held this Thursday, April 16th at 11 a.m. Services will be at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Due to current restrictions under the coronavirus, the public will not be able to attend in person and there will not be any public visitation. Instead, you're invited to participate in the funeral service by watching it online. Officers in attendance will remain with their vehicles to honor Officer Leith prior to the beginning of the service. We have more details for you coming in the next few days. The man accused of killing Officer Leith and shooting another woman faces murder and attempted murder charges. 27-year-old Elias Dorsey went into custody shortly after the shooting. The incident started as a domestic violence situation. Investigators say that officers were outside the apartment when someone shot at them. Officer Leith died at the hospital. The other victim is in stable condition at Methodist Hospital. It is 5:47. Advocates say that sadly the stay-at-home orders due to COVID-19 are prompting a surge in domestic violence cases. The pandemic is causing increased stress, isolation, and financial worries, which are all risk factors for domestic violence. If you or someone you know needs help, you can call the Domestic Violence Hotline. That number is 1-800-332-7385. We also have links to other resources online for you at theindychannel.com and the RTV6 app. Well, strong storms pounded the Deep South on Sunday, killing at least 6 people in southern Mississippi and damaging up to 300 homes and other buildings in northern Louisiana. At least 3 people were injured when a tornado touched down near the Walker-Jefferson County line in Alabama. Storm system also tore through Georgia. It's now heading up the East Coast, posing a threat all the way up to Pennsylvania. Back here at home, it is a Storm Team 6 alert day, but for different reasons. Todd Clausen is standing by.
Yeah, we had the threat of some storms overnight. They stayed to our south, thankfully for us here in central Indiana, Lauren. But we are going to get some very windy conditions that are going to be working their way in throughout the course of the day. And that's why I put us in alert mode. The winds are really just now starting to pick up here across central Indiana. And they will continue to whip around through at least the middle half of the day. Wind gusts, you'll start to see more and more numbers appear on this map that I showed you starting at 4:30. There were no numbers on it. And it takes a little while for these gusts to get a certain threshold for the numbers to kick in. It's 25 miles per hour. So you see that in Peru now, 43 mile per hour wind gusts in Terre Haute. In Indianapolis, going to start to see these wind gusts really increase as well over the next hour or so. Wind advisory in place now until 8 p.m. tonight for every single county in the state of Indiana. There is some indication, though, that these winds will start to drop off pretty quickly once we get to this afternoon. So the wind advisory may not stay in effect until 8 p.m. But definitely through at least the middle half of the afternoon, we will be dealing with these very, very strong wind gusts. You can see they peak as we get into the 1-2 o'clock hour. Then they'll start to subside. I think this model with the 33 miles per hour that you see here, underdoing it just a little bit. I do think we'll see some wind gusts up into that 40 to maybe even 50 mile per hour category later on this afternoon. As far as temperatures go, we've already hit our highs in most locations for the day today. You'll notice that the map is split with 50s from Indy off towards the east, but you see the colder air starting to work in as this cold front makes its way through the state. And once we get into the 40s here today, that is exactly where we are going to stay. There's not going to be much of any warming that is going to be taking place. Now, as far as the rain goes, there could be a spot shower as this front moves through, but nothing substantial in the way of rainfall for the day today. Again, all those stronger storms, and it's been a rough go of it down across the south, did not make it as far north as central Indiana. Today's forecast, it's a chilly one. The wind will subside a little bit later on this afternoon, but the high of 47 is going to feel more like 37 to 40 degrees throughout the day. So you'll definitely want to have the jacket handy if you are going to be out and about with your family walking around the neighborhood this afternoon. Then overnight tonight, going all the way down to near freezing, and that is going to start a pretty prolonged long stretch of weather where we are going to be running below normal. Tomorrow's highs are still only in the 40s as well. And here's your 7-day planning forecast. Highs in the 40s through Friday, low temperatures in the 20s and 30s. A very chilly week of weather for us, Lauren. Finally, once we get towards the weekend, temperatures do moderate back up into the 50s and 60s.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Let's take a look right now at traffic for you on the south side. This is a look at I-65 near Edgewood Avenue. This is just south of the 465 interchange. Traffic here looks to be moving along up to speed, and the good news around the metro area at this hour, no major crashes or delays to slow you down. The time right now is 5:51. Stick around. We'll be right back after this short break.
Home experts at theindychannel.com.
An Indianapolis yoga studio has adapted to social distancing by providing a full daily schedule of Zoom classes for its members. And they're giving back by offering those classes and some much needed stress relief for free to essential workers.
Through breath.
But taking a moment here to clear the mind, to close the eyes.
And peace of mind.
And just remember, at all times we're breathing, but this moment that we're taking together is to recognize the breath.
Making time for yourself on your yoga mat can bring some light in a dark time. Many indie yogis have kept practicing while social distancing to get some relief from the uncertainty of our current reality. But a moment of self-care is not always a priority for those working to keep others safe from the COVID-19 pandemic. Invoke Yoga Studio wants to make that a more viable option.
We're offering 30 days of unlimited classes via Zoom to anyone who's out working on the front line. So that includes doctors, nurses, mental health specialists, grocers, postal carriers, delivery drivers. So anyone who's out and about working to take care of our essential needs.
It's a gift from a company that has called Indie home for 15 years to serve its neighbors who are taking care of everyone else right now.
The people who are out and about working right now are making a sacrifice, and we're hoping that this is something small that we can do that will offer them a bit of peace in what is a stressful and scary time.
So whether it be a downward dog, a tree pose, or just some Shavasana meditation, it's a free opportunity for those risking their health for their fellow Hoosiers. It's a few moments to focus on them.
Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, eternal peace. Namaste.
That was Amanda Starantino reporting. You can learn how to give the gift of yoga class on our website right now at theindychannel.com. It is time right now for a check of our forecast. Todd Clausen is standing by. Todd, it's going to be a windy one.
Yeah, now that's why it's a Storm Team 6 alert day, Lauren. This front's going to go through pretty dry. So when you think of, when we talk about a cold front and an alert day, you think thunderstorms. Not going to be the case here throughout the day. Today, as far as the storms go, it is just going to be very windy. So we're going to get a huge initial gust of wind shortly here in the metro area. I've already seen it in western locations. And then it remains windy throughout the afternoon hours before the wind starts to subside later on this evening. Peak wind gusts should be up to around 40, maybe 50 miles per hour when this front comes through. And that's why wind advisory is in place for the entire area. The time now is 5:57. Stay with us. We're back in just a few minutes right here on Good Morning Indiana.